Welcome to Ask the Lawyer radio podcast with attorney Brian Figueroa of the law firm Figueroa and Associates. This podcast features a recording of our most recent radio show. We hope you enjoy the show, which features news, views, and interviews on matters such as immigration, personal injury, bankruptcy, divorce, family law, estate planning, wills and probate, deed transfers, civil rights, criminal defense, workers' compensation, and taxes, both individual and business. You can contact us at 855-768-8845 or visit us at www.askthelawyer.us. You have questions? We've got the answers.
Trump's campaign promises. Goals and implications for New York City. Trump's campaign promises, their intended goals, and their potential and actual implications for New York City, a metropolitan hub that embodies challenges and opportunities distinct from the rest of the nation. Donald Trump's presidency and campaign promises were deeply rooted in the ethos of Make America Great Again, MAGA, a slogan that resonated with many Americans in the 2016 election and shaped his 2020 and 2024 re-election bids. His promises ranged from tax reform and immigration control to healthcare overhaul and infrastructure development. However, the effect of these promises on a diverse global city like New York often diverges from their national impact due to the city's unique demographics, industries, and socio-political culture. This analysis explores Trump's campaign promises, their intended goals, and their potential and actual implications for New York City, a metropolitan hub that embodies challenges and opportunities distinct from the rest of the nation. Trump's major campaign promises and their impact on NYC. 1. Economic promises and tax reform. Trump's promise. One of Trump's cornerstone promises was revitalizing the American economy by cutting taxes, deregulating industries, and bringing jobs back to the United States. Key proposals included the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, TCJA, passed in 2017, reducing corporate tax rates from 35% to 21% and altering personal income tax brackets, simplifying the tax code to benefit middle-income families, protecting American jobs by imposing tariffs on foreign goods and renegotiating trade deals like NAFTA. Potential and actual impact on NYC. Corporate sector. NYC, being home to Wall Street and major multinational corporations, benefited from the corporate tax cut. Companies headquartered in NYC saved billions, potentially increasing investments and stock buybacks. However, critics argue that these savings disproportionately benefited the wealthy, exacerbating inequality in a city already marked by stark economic divides. Middle-class families. The TCJA introduced a cap on state and local tax, SALT, deductions at $10,000, disproportionately affecting New York taxpayers, where property taxes and state income taxes are among the highest in the country. Middle-class and upper-middle-class families in NYC face increased federal tax burdens as a result. Job creation. While Trump emphasized job growth in traditional manufacturing sectors, NYC's economy relies heavily on finance, tech, and service industries, which were not his administration's focus. Additionally, retaliatory tariffs, particularly from China, impacted NYC's import-heavy economy, increasing costs for businesses and consumers. 2. Immigration policies. Trump's promise. Trump's immigration platform was central to this campaign. Key promises included building a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border to curb illegal immigration, enacting travel bans on countries deemed security threats, tightening restrictions on asylum seekers and refugees, increasing deportations of undocumented immigrants, and ending sanctuary city protections. Potential and actual impact on NYC. Sanctuary city policies. NYC's status as a sanctuary city clashed directly with Trump's immigration enforcement agenda. His administration threatened to withhold federal funds from sanctuary cities, creating tension between local and federal authorities. NYC's large immigrant population, including undocumented residents, faced increased fear and uncertainty due to heightened enforcement. Workforce and industries. Industries reliant on immigrant labor, such as restaurants, construction, and domestic work, were disproportionately affected. Many employers in NYC struggled with workforce shortages as immigration restrictions tightened. Travel bans. NYC's international character and diverse population meant that Trump's travel bans directly impacted families, universities, and businesses. The bans strained relationships within immigrant communities and created logistical challenges for international students and workers. Refugees. NYC historically welcomes thousands of refugees annually, but Trump's reduction of the refugee cap limited the number of individuals who could resettle in the city, impacting organizations that support refugee integration. 3. Law and order agenda. Trump's promise. Trump campaigned as a law and order president, emphasizing support for law enforcement, stricter crime policies, and addressing urban violence. Specific promises included cracking down on violent crime in cities, restoring funding for law enforcement agencies, designating certain cities as anarchist jurisdictions for failing to control protests or crime. Potential and actual impact on NYC, protests and policing. During Trump's presidency, NYC was a focal point for protests, particularly around racial justice issues following high-profile police violence cases. Trump's rhetoric often clashed with NYC leadership, especially during protests in 2020. His push for federal intervention in NYC's policing decisions deepened divisions. Community relations. NYC's diverse communities viewed Trump's emphasis on law and order differently. While some welcomed increased police presence, many residents of historically over-policed neighborhoods expressed fear and mistrust of heavy-handed tactics. Crime rates. Trump's administration linked rising crime rates in NYC to Democratic leadership, but critics argued that his policies and rhetoric failed to address underlying causes of urban violence, such as poverty and housing instability. 4. Infrastructure development. Trump's promise. One of Trump's prominent 2016 promises was a $1 trillion infrastructure plan to rebuild America's roads, bridges, and transit systems. While infrastructure was less emphasized in 2020, it remained a focal point of his administration's agenda. Potential and actual impact on NYC. Public transit. NYC's aging subway system and regional transit infrastructure were in dire need of federal support. Trump's administration proposed cuts to Amtrak and transit funding, creating uncertainty for the MTA and Port Authority. Gateway Project. The Gateway Project, a critical infrastructure initiative to modernize rail tunnels between NYC and New Jersey, faced delays during Trump's tenure. Federal funding for the project was delayed, leaving commuters and businesses in limbo. Public housing. Trump's proposed cuts to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, funding threatened NYC's already strained public housing system. New York City Housing Authority, NYCK, which serves over 400,000 residents, faced funding challenges, exacerbating housing conditions. 5. Healthcare and social services. Trump's promise. Healthcare reform was a major aspect of Trump's campaign promises. Key objectives included repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act, ACA, reducing prescription drug prices, expanding healthcare access through market-based solutions. Potential and actual impact on NYC. ACA repeal attempts. NYC, where millions rely on Medicaid and ACA subsidies, would have been significantly affected by Trump's push to dismantle Obamacare. Although efforts to repeal the ACA failed, the administration's changes to Medicaid and federal funding restrictions increased uncertainty for healthcare providers and patients. Prescription drug costs. While Trump promised to lower drug prices, many NYC residents saw little change in costs, especially for critical medications. Rising healthcare costs remained a significant burden for low-income families. Public health services. Proposed cuts to federal health funding threatened public health initiatives in NYC, including HIV/AIDS prevention and maternal health programs. 6. Education and workforce development. Trump's promise. Trump's education and workforce promises focused on expanding school choice and charter schools, strengthening vocational training programs, reducing federal involvement in education, potential and actual impact on NYC, charter schools and public education. NYC, home to one of the largest public school systems in the U.S., saw mixed reactions to Trump's emphasis on charter schools. Critics argued that increased support for charters diverted resources from public schools, disproportionately affecting low-income and minority students. Vocational training, efforts to expand vocational programs aligned with NYC's needs, particularly in construction, healthcare, and technology. However, funding limitations hindered widespread implementation. Student loan policy. Changes to federal student loan forgiveness programs directly impacted NYC residents, many of whom face high tuition costs at local universities. 7. Foreign policy and international trade. Trump's promise. Trump's America First policy reshaped international trade and relations. Key promises included renegotiating trade deals like NAFTA, replaced by USMCA, imposing tariffs on foreign goods to protect American manufacturers, reducing U.S. involvement in international conflicts, potential and actual impact on NYC, trade and business. As an international trade hub, NYC businesses felt the impact of tariffs on goods imported from China, Europe, and Mexico. Higher costs for goods strained small businesses and consumers. Tourism and international relations. NYC, a global tourist destination, experienced a decline in international visitors due to Trump's stricter immigration policies and travel bans. The hospitality and tourism sector suffered losses, further exacerbated by COVID-19. Part 2. Implications for NYC's diverse communities. 1. Immigrant communities. NYC's large immigrant population faced heightened challenges under Trump's immigration policies. Sanctuary city tensions, ICE raids, and travel bans created a climate of fear and uncertainty. 2. Low-income residents, cuts to social programs, housing assistance, and healthcare funding disproportionately affected NYC's low-income residents, exacerbating economic inequality. 3. Small businesses. Many NYC small businesses struggle with rising costs due to tariffs and limited federal support, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic. Part 3. In conclusion, President Trump's promises, rooted in nationalistic and conservative principles, had mixed implications for NYC. While some policies, like corporate tax cuts, benefited specific industries, many of his initiatives clashed with the city's progressive policies and diverse population. NYC, as a microcosm of national and international dynamics, highlights the complexity of implementing policies that align with campaign promises in a way that addresses the needs of all Americans. In assessing Trump's promises, it's clear that the tension between federal initiatives and local realities, especially in a city as unique as New York, underscores the broader challenges of governance in a diverse democracy.
Do you have a legal issue, question, or concern? Turn to Ask the Lawyer. You have questions? We've got answers. For a consultation or to refer a client, visit www.askthelawyer.us. Again, www.askthelawyer.us. You can also register for our paralegal program, get legal news, business consults, or other information on educational issues. Yes, ask the lawyer. You have questions? We've got answers. For a consultation or to refer a client, visit www.askthelawyer.us. Again, www.askthelawyer.us.